Hi everybody, this is part 4 and 5. I will be splitting up this video. So right here, I'm just going to go ahead and unravel my bundles. And I'm combing through them as I'm unraveling them. I'm being careful to keep those to keep the track doubled the way that it is. I'm going to go ahead and start with the zigzag stitch, my number 4 on here, and the coordinates for those are 1.4 and 7.0. That's 1.4 is how close you want it to be, and 7.0 is how wide you want it to be. So my wide stitch that I'm putting on here is a 7.0. I'm doing that so that I'm able to capture both of these wefts together. And as you see that that's gliding through there beautifully, I'm holding both of the tracks as close together as possible, as you can see. You want to keep them grouped together this entire time. You can do that by firmly holding your hand on there and gliding them into the thread together, gliding them into the sewing machine together. You can also achieve this exact same stitch with the overcast, and it takes just a little bit longer to do the overcast. And that's how it looks with the two grouped together. And you only do this step if you want more density in your wigs, or if your client wants more density in the wigs. But this step is very, very vital to having a nice, healthy and thick looking wig. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the rest of this. As I'm gliding that through there, I'm keeping both the tracks together. And I'm done with the double side. Now you see that I had a little bit left, but I can cut that off and use that at the end. So that's the end of results. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my next 2 bundles. Here's one of the other ones. Time to start laying these tracks. So back tab on the mannequin, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this corner because I don't want it to be bulky. I want it to be flat as possible. For this stitch, I'm using the number 4. And I'm using a 1.4 and a 3.0 all the way down. So that's 1.4 across. I'm sorry, 1.4 together and 3.0 across. I'm going to backtrack to secure those ends. And I'm all done with this part. See those? It's pretty much virtually invisible. And it keeps the tracks on there intact. You won't have to worry about them coming to loose. Your client won't have to worry about them coming to loose, anything like that. So usually you can fit about 2 of these on there. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. You can fit about 2 to 3 even when you don't have them gapped together. I'm sorry, when you don't have them, when you don't have your bundles sewn together. sew this down, backtrack a little bit, and finish this, backtrack one more, finish that, and that part is done. And see, that also makes the wig very, very flat. You want to make sure as you're going through the wig, it'll make it a lot easier if you snip all of the straight strands, or you can go back and do it at the end like I'll be doing. I'm gonna readjust this so that you guys can see the next part. Now this part is a lot more intricate. This part allows you to measure and tailor the tracks in both the cap to the head size of the buyer or yourself if you're making this for yourself. You want to make sure that this is secure. Now, one step you can do to make sure this cap always stays secure to here, you don't have to cut out that front part of that cap. You can leave it on there with the frontal. However, I don't use that step all the time. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this part off here because I don't want it to be bulky. And I'm just going to start right here at the bottom with my pins. And I'm going to pin this down here as if I'm pinning two pieces of cloth together, as if I were making clothes. Pin that through there. And be careful, these things are very, 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 very sharp. You want to make sure your cap is straight, which is what I'm doing. Straighten it out. See, now that's not bulking up anymore. Let's put this last pin in here. Clip the end. And you can go ahead and take the anchors off. I call them anchors because they're holding the cap down. So you can take the anchors off, which are on the sides. I'll do that right here and right there and right there. You want to take this cap off of here and put it back onto the sewing machine. Make sure that you don't stick yourself. You want to go slow because you don't want your needle hitting these pins, which is why it's very, very good to use this stitch. So when you're starting, before you get to the first pin, you want your stitching coordinates to be 1.4 and 3.0. Now, when you get to the pins and when you get past the pins, for the entire middle of the wig, you want them to be 4.0, 4.0. And this will mostly ensure that you don't hit those pins. As long as you know to go slow when you get to them. And of course the end, you want to switch it back to default to 1.4 or 3.0. You want to backtrack to secure the ends. We're going to take the pins out. I'm going to show you guys how that looks. Let's grab our blockhead, put it back on here. Now you guys, this looks like a long process, but if you do it at least 3 times, you literally will get to zooming through it. It's absolutely nothing. So usually what I do is what makes it more comfortable for me. I'll lay it down on my table. and that helps me pin the tracks down a lot better. I can make them a lot flatter, and it's just a lot easier than trying to stick them down the other way, because then I don't have my hands in the way and I don't risk sticking myself with the pins. Once again, I'm taking the anchors out. Stick them back in the mannequin head for safekeeping. Setting my cap up for the sewing machine. Backtrack, go forward, backtrack, forward. And I'm switching my coordinates to 4.0, 4.0. And I'm just gliding the cap through the sewing machine. Making sure my ends are secure. Clipping thread. Fixing my cap. Now you guys, you see it pretty much is hugging the head right now. But you don't want to get cocky. You still put your anchors in there, because any little thing can mess it up. So I'm putting those in there for safekeeping, so I don't have to keep on reaching back to my tomato head. Go ahead, put my other track right here. Now see how easy that is? Pop that back in there. Put that one in there, and place the other two inside there as well. And of course you're clipping the track at the end of the cap. So you want to pull that tab out of the way, and you also want to make sure that elastic cord is out the way as well. So I'm securing down my ends. And again, at this point, I have 4.0, 4.0. I'm just making sure the cap is flat on the sewing machine. Nothing is up under it. I don't want anything capturing it. I'm just gliding my cap through my sewing machine. Backtrack, go forward, backtrack one more time, and you're all done. I'm going to go ahead and lay down the other tracks fitted to the cap and the head. And I'm going to repeat this exact same process all through the cap until I get to a little bit to the top.
Man, you look at the sky. All the stars, man, the stars are beautiful tonight.
So you guys, remember what I said about having the extra bobbins? Now this came very, very in handy from when I remade them at the beginning because I ran out in the middle. Luckily, I only had to change it twice, considering the fact that I doubled the wefts as well. I'm just going to go through repeating the exact same process as before. Same thing. Now right here, is the last one that I'm laying down right there. And now I'm just going across. Now, you want the tracks to not be flat. You want them to be going in like a C shape. Almost a U shape over like the head, the exact same shape of the arch of the frontal. You want that to be consistent. And what I'm also doing right here is I'm cutting the tracks apart. You could leave a piece of the tracks unbothered so you won't have to double them at the beginning. You can just skip this part. But I'm taking them apart because I want them to be flat at the top of the head. I don't want the top of the head to be bulky in any way whatsoever. And it should be very, very easy to pull them apart, especially if you're only using the zigzag stitch. Now, if you're using the overcast stitch, then it will be a little bad you trying to pull them apart. Well, it won't be bad. It'll just take a lot more time to pull them apart. I'm pretty much almost at the end right here. Pin this small part down. Clip the end where the other track is. See that? I want that to lay down on the ends. For this section only, I use the stitch 1.4, 3.0, the default stitch for the zigzag number 4. Now that is all done. I'll let you guys see the inside of the cap. And I also have to clip these strands. And you are all done with this section. Congratulations.